can set you back. Only you control that.
American Military University. Learn from the leader.
Tonight, several developing stories as we come on the air. The panic, this time a terror attack in Paris. Tourists running for their lives at one of the most popular tourist sites in the world, Notre Dame Cathedral. We have new surveillance, the suspect with a hammer and knives. And on the inside, the people with their hands in the air. What the suspect was shouting, our correspondent on the scene. Here at home tonight, the countdown to Comey. We have exclusive reporting what ABC News has learned, what the fired FBI director is prepared to say in front of Congress and the American people. The top secret document leaked to the 25-year-old Air Force veteran behind bars tonight, and what the classified document reveals about the Russians and efforts to hack software used in voting machines across this country. The moment arrives for Bill Cosby, his accuser on the stand across from him, what she said today. And the flight leaving Atlanta, the passenger who says a service dog attacked him on board.
This is ABC World News Tonight with David Muir.
Good evening, and it's great to have you with us here on a Tuesday night, and we begin tonight with the newest terror attack, this time in Paris. Tourists trapped inside the Notre Dame Cathedral. We have exclusive video tonight of the attacker targeting a police officer outside the cathedral. Inside, look at this, hundreds trapped. You can see their hands in the air. So far, it appears the attacker was working alone, but tonight Paris is on edge. And ABC's James Longman leads us off from the scene.
Panic today in the heart of Paris. Throngs of tourists sent running as shots ring out in front of one of the world's most iconic cathedrals. The drama began at 4:20 p.m. Surveillance cameras trained on the crowded plaza in front of Notre Dame capture the moment an attacker lunges at 3 police officers, striking one of them with a hammer. One of the other officers draws his gun and fires. The attacker falls to the ground. You can see the man lying on the ground here, an officer standing over him. The cell phone video recorded by an American tourist, Carl Riches.
We heard the 2 gunshots, and then at that point, my wife and I, we kind of grabbed each other and ran to the corner, and then we turned back around. That's when we saw the police officers pointing their guns at a guy on the ground, and he had blood coming out from his leg.
As police rush to the scene, frightened tourists scatter.
You didn't know what was happening. Like, people come running towards us, and so you had to keep running.
Inside the ancient cathedral, fear and confusion. People told to put their hands over their heads. Nancy Soderberg, a former American ambassador to the UN, was in one of those pews.
They made us put our hands up, saying that there may be accomplices there, so we're going to search everything. And that's when people got really quiet and very nervous. And that was kind of scary because people thought there might be one of the attackers inside the church.
As police officers methodically check each pew, priests try to soothe the crowd, reciting the Lord's Prayer in English and in French. This mother and daughter from New Hampshire were also inside the cathedral.
It was nice to be around people from all over the world, kind of getting through it, sitting calmly together.
It was 2 hours before they were allowed to leave. Tonight, the attacker is recovering in the hospital. His identity still unconfirmed. He was carrying the ID card of an Algerian student. Sources tell us he's 40 years old. And there wasn't just a hammer. He was armed with several kitchen knives. A top French government official noting a different kind of terror. We've passed from a very sophisticated terrorism, he said, to a terrorism where any instrument can be used for attacks.
And so let's bring in ABC's James Longman in Paris tonight. James has joined our team of foreign correspondents. And James, great to have you on the team. A tough story here. We do know that the police officer who was attacked is in the hospital recovering tonight. And this isn't the first time we've seen officers targeted in France.
No, that's right, David. It was just in April that a police officer was shot in the head on the Champs-Élysées here. But we know that ISIS is specifically asking its followers to target law enforcement. David?
James Longman leading us off from Paris tonight. James, thank you. All of this comes after the terror attack in London. The truck barreling over the London Bridge, crossing over the median and hitting pedestrians, then the knife attacks that followed. Why so many attacks in so little time? And tonight, the major warning signs missed, as authorities now brace for more. And could any of these attackers have come to the U.S. with the same plan? Here's ABC's chief investigative correspondent, Brian Ross.
With these new scenes in Paris, And just days after the London Bridge rampage, authorities tonight are asking if a new wave of terrorism is about to hit Europe.
Fact is that however good the police are and the security services are at responding, the attacker always gets the first blow.
Authorities tonight have now named all 3 London attackers, identifying this 22-year-old Moroccan man, Youssef Zagba. Like the ringleader, Karam Butt, he too was well known to British authorities as a potential threat, especially after he had tried to go to Syria to join ISIS. But neither he nor Butt were being tracked by the British, nor were they on any U.S. watch list either, which the Homeland Security Secretary today said means the U.S. was also vulnerable.
They have certainly been able to buy a ticket and fly to the United States.
Also tonight, new pictures and accounts of Karam Butt and his confrontational behavior reported to police again and again. The person whose family took these pictures said he called police last year after a physical confrontation with Karam Butt, who called him a bad Muslim for supporting gay marriage.
He ran at me with an expression of hatred in his face. A scuffle broke out, and at one point I helped wrestle him to the ground. So he was full of hate.
And Brian is back with us tonight. We've heard from so many people who've complained to police about that man before the attack. Right. Police there have actually acknowledged they're overwhelmed.
That's right, David. There are some 3,000 people in Britain who are considered the highest priority threats, and another 20,000 they're also trying to keep an eye on. 23,000 in all, so every day they have to make a decision about who is the greatest threat.
23,000 cases. Right. Brian Ross tonight. Brian, thank you. We turn next here to the showdown looming on Capitol Hill. Former FBI Director James Comey to testify on Thursday about his meetings with President Trump and the memos he wrote after them before he was fired. Tonight we have exclusive reporting, what ABC News has learned, what the fired FBI director plans to tell Congress and the American people. And there is also late word coming in tonight. Has the Attorney General, Jeff Sessions, offered to resign to President Trump after what the president said about the Justice Department? Here's ABC's chief White House correspondent, Jonathan Karl.
At a meeting with Republican leaders today, the president was asked about James Comey's highly anticipated testimony.
What message do you have to Jim Comey ahead of his testimony?
I wish him luck.
But tonight, a source familiar with Comey's thinking tells ABC News that the former FBI director will directly contradict what the president wrote in the letter notifying him he was fired. I greatly appreciate you informing me on 3 separate occasions that I'm not under investigation. It's a claim the president has repeated.
I said, if it's possible, would you let me know, am I under investigation? He said, you are not under investigation.
But according to our source, Comey will dispute that. But the source says Comey will also testify that he does not believe the president was obstructing the FBI investigation when Trump allegedly told him he hoped they would be able to drop the investigation into fired National Security Advisor Michael Flynn. Still, the conversation concerned Comey enough that he documented it in a memo he wrote shortly after. As the White House braces for Comey's testimony, sources tell ABC News there is major tension between President Trump and his Attorney General, Jeff Sessions.
We need to make America great again.
Sessions was the first senator to endorse candidate Trump and the first person nominated to a cabinet post after he won. But Trump was furious when Sessions recused himself from the Russia investigation back in March. Sources say more recently, Trump has again lashed out at the Attorney General, blaming the recusal for many of his current problems. Today, Press Secretary Sean Spicer refused to say if the president still has confidence in his Attorney General.
I have not had that discussion with him.
So you can't say if he has confidence in his Attorney General?
I said I have not had a discussion with him on the question. If I haven't had a discussion with him about a subject, I tend not to speak about it.
So let's get to John Karl live at the White House tonight. And John, from his words, the president clearly seems frustrated with his Attorney General. And tonight, your sources now telling you that frustration goes both ways?
It does. In fact, David, I am told that after the president recently lashed out at the Attorney General yet again, Attorney General Sessions said that he was more than willing to resign. When we asked the spokesperson for the Department of Justice whether or not, in fact, he had offered to resign, we got simply a decline to comment.
John Karl with us tonight from the White House. There'll be more to come on this story for sure. In the meantime, on Thursday, ABC News will carry Director Comey's testimony live with a special report beginning at 10 a.m. Eastern right here on ABC. And of course, among those watching Thursday's hearing, the president's sons, Don Jr. and Eric. And tonight, in an exclusive interview with ABC's chief national correspondent Tom Llamas, Don Trump Jr. speaking out about the Russia investigation now entangling the White House.
A lot of people, including people who are Trump supporters, you, your father, have described this whole thing as a witch hunt. Do you really think it's a witch hunt?
I mean, to me, it's without a question, reads and smells like a witch hunt, because I have no other proof or evidence to show otherwise.
And Tom with us now here in the studio. Great to have you. And there is another headline breaking as we're on the air involving the president's sons. A charity golf tournament, Forbes magazine reporting a portion of the money raised then went back to the Trump organization, and you reached out to the family.
That's right, David, and this story actually just broke. Forbes is accusing Eric Trump of self-dealing when it comes to running his charity golf tournaments for St. Jude's Children's Hospital. The magazine reports that Eric Trump has said that the charity gets to use the Trump golf courses 100% free of charge. That's a quote for benefits. But in reviewing IRS filings, that does not appear to be the case. The charity's last golf tournament, according to Forbes, ran up cost of more than $300,000 for a day of golf and a dinner gala. And in 2014 alone, the charity paid the Trump organization more than $87,000. Now, Eric Trump has released a statement through his spokesperson. Here it is. Contrary to recent reports, at no time did the Trump organization profit in any way from the foundation of any of its activities. Forbes reports that to date, the foundation has donated more than $11 million to the St. Jude's Charity Hospital. Now, Eric Trump's foundation says that number is closer to more than $16 million.
All right, so a clear dispute over the numbers here. Tom, thank you. Next to the arrest tonight of a government official after a top secret document leaked. That arrest of a government contractor for allegedly leaking that document. The alleged leaker is an Army veteran and a language specialist. Tonight, she's facing charges, and that document, many asking, could it be the first significant proof that Russia also wanted to get to the software found in so many voting booths across this country? Here's ABC senior justice correspondent Pierre Thomas tonight.
Tonight, this 25-year-old Air Force veteran landing in federal jail, accused of leaking top secret information.
Any disclosure of classified or sensitive information can clearly threaten our national security.
Reality Lee Winner, an NSA linguist trained in Farsi and Pashto, who received an Air Force Commendation Medal, described by family as a patriot, a young woman into fitness, seen here on Facebook discussing yoga instruction and competing in weightlifting. But tonight her disclosure is stunning, revealing a classified NSA report about Russian meddling in the 2016 election. Efforts by Russian military intelligence to hack the software of U.S. companies involved in voting machines and voter registration, as well as cyber attacks on more than 100 local election officials. A key senator saying the extent of the attacks is much broader than reported so far.
I think it's important that the American people understand that the Russian attempts to break into a number of our state voting processes was broad-based.
Werner faces up to 10 years in prison and is the first arrest in the Trump administration's promised crackdown on leaks.
We're going to find the leakers. They're going to pay a big price for leaking.
According to authorities, Winner illegally obtained the classified report on May 9th, printed out a copy, and mailed it to an online media group called The Intercept, leaving a trail of clues. A scanned copy of the document shared by the media outlet with government officials revealed to investigators it had been folded or creased, suggesting it had been printed and hand-carried out of a secure space. An internal audit at the NSA showed only 6 people had printed out the report, and after examining their computers, only Ms. Winner allegedly had been in email contact with The Intercept.
This is amateur hour for not only the leaker, but also the news organization reporter.
She now awaits her fate. In the meantime, Pierre with us live from the FBI. We want to get back to what that classified document could reveal. We know this election was decided by less than 100,000 votes in 3 states. Pierre, do we know of any evidence that any voting machines or election software was compromised on Election Day in this country?
David, so far no evidence of that, but the investigations are continuing, and sources say the Russians are still launching cyber attacks and could pose a threat to upcoming elections. David?
Pierre Thomas with us live from the FBI tonight. Pierre, thanks to you again. And there is still much more ahead on World News Tonight this Tuesday. The service dog mauling another passenger on board a Delta flight. What passengers saw. More on that coming up. Also, the moment arrives in court for Bill Cosby in his sexual assault trial. His accuser on the stand right across from him. And what she told jurors today. The new study tonight and what it reveals about the risk of moderate drinking, just a handful of glasses of wine a week, what it says. And big news coming in tonight from George and Amal Clooney. A lot more ahead. Stay tuned.
Which you are you? Be the you who doesn't cover your moderate to severe plaque psoriasis. Be the you who shows up in that dress, who hugs a friend, who is done with treatments that don't give you clearer skin. Be the you who controls your psoriasis with Stelara. Just 4 doses a year after 2 starter doses.
Stelara may lower your ability to fight infections and may increase your risk of infections and cancer. Some serious infections require hospitalization. Before treatment, get tested for tuberculosis. Before starting Stelara, tell your doctor if you think you have an infection or have symptoms such as fever, sweats, chills, muscle aches, or cough. Always tell your doctor if you have any signs of infection, have had cancer, if you develop any new skin growths, or if anyone in your house needs or has recently received a vaccine. Alert your doctor of new or worsening problems, including headaches, seizures, confusion, and vision problems. These may be signs of a rare, potentially fatal brain condition. Some serious allergic reactions can occur. Do not take Stelara if you are allergic